Hey guys, this video is going to be a review of the Onyx Talisman by Brenda Pandos, which is the third book in the Talisman series. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I've kind of talked about it a bit in my May Rewind video, but I kind of had to cut out some of the stuff I said because I kind of started ranting about it, because I really loved this book. Like I said in that video, I've read a fair amount of vampire, paranormal, romance books. Not a ton, because I'm not like a huge fan, but I have read like several, and this was probably my favorite series, like with vampires, like romantic vampire books. I'm not sure about paranormal altogether, but vampire-wise, it definitely was my favorite. I just really loved it, and they only got better because I think I gave the first book 4 out of 5 stars, and then I gave the second two 5 out of 5 stars. Everything, the way the story worked was really awesome. Like, each book gets progressively more like kind of intricate, but not complicated or anything. And you just learn more about what's happening, and it has really interesting vampire mythology too. In this book, all of the vampires were created from Cain, as in Cain from the Bible. Like, God made Cain into a vampire, and then Cain's made all of the other vampires, and in order to destroy all of the vampires, you have to kill Cain. And it was interesting because it kind of brought religion into it, but it's not like a religious book. Like, they don't talk about God at all, really, except when they're talking about how they talk about Cain and how he's real, like, from the Bible, and then they, like, the only time they really ever talk about God being real that I, like, remember is when, and this is a bit of a spoiler, is at the end or at some point during this book, the main character meets Cain and is talking, or okay, I cannot remember the exact situation at the time, but she says God, and she's not really talking about God being existing, but you know how sometimes you just like say it in like expressions. She says God, and Cain like freaks out and tells her never to say his name in front of him. And that's really, it's not religious at all, but that aspect is there in like the mythology, and I accidentally hit a page. And it makes it really interesting how vampires came from God and stuff in this book, and it was really nice because it really made sense. Like, the mythology was really well explained and stuff, because the last vampire paranormal book that I read, it was good, but the mythology got really confusing, and this one was, you learned gradually what was happening and like the background, and it all made sense. I also really liked the romance aspect of this book, because a lot of the time in like paranormal romance you have the girl is like always the human and she has no powers, but in this series the main character actually does have a power. She has the power of empathy, like she can tell people's emotions, which doesn't really like do much like fighting wise, but she also gets a talisman that protects her from vampires, so she's kind of like immune to them, kind of. And so it made her a bit like stronger than normal, and she's really like headstrong and like always getting in the middle of stuff, and like actually not always helping, but always like trying to do things. And I just really like her in comparison to other female leads in paranormal, particularly Bella in Twilight, because she like is definitely a very like strong character, and she does a lot throughout the series. I've ranted about the series as a whole, and I can't even remember what I said in my first 2 reviews for the first 2 books, but I really love this book. This one was definitely, I really like how it progressed and how you learned like more each book, and this one is definitely really interesting. I don't want to give away like too many spoilers, but just the way it like all unfolded and happened was really cool, and her like learning more about everything. And this is going to be a bit of a spoiler, but I want to talk about the ending, because it reached the point at the end of the book where I did not understand how the book was going to end happily. Like, I had just resigned myself to the fact that it was going to be a sad ending, because there was like no way everything was going to work out. But then the way it did end was funny because I don't want to say exactly how it ended, but if you've read the book then you know, it kind of reminded me of the Harry Potter things where everyone talks about what if the series ended when Harry woke up and nothing had really happened or something, you know, it had been a dream. And I was really reminded of that at first, which that isn't what happens at the end, but it was a lot like that, and the fact that everything resolved itself. And it was cute though, it was a cute ending, I really liked it. But I think that's all. I definitely recommend this series, and I will see you guys later. Bye.